Hello, I am Endlessness and welcome back to Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, and in this video I'd like to give you a guide on Guild Battle with some tips and suggestions for it. So yeah, Guild Battle 8 is here and official matches are about to begin very soon, and this time we have Earth Dragon as returning boss because it's the same boss we had in Guild Battle 2, but back then it was a physical wind boss and now it's magic wind. And the boss itself doesn't have many complicated mechanics, and it just mostly depends on how big your wind DPS is, because the boss has a wind gauge and every time he does an attack, that attack will fill part of his gauge. So you have to do everything you can to stop it from fully filling that gauge, and if it happens then the boss will fully buff its defenses and wind resistance, and that will take you quite a lot of ADB to just nullify it to be able to continue DPSing. And also during the battle the boss will occasionally randomly debuff attack of one of your characters with Dreadful Chomp, and if you have AoE buff that target is random. But that's not everything, because this time we have 6 stages instead of usual 5, and I'm not sure, and I'm rather curious if that's a permanent change or if it's only for returning bosses, but this changes everything for both the players and the ranking. Now the lower stages are much more accessible for smaller players, and even without a good wind setup you should be able to clear stage 1 and stage 2 without too many issues. And I think it's a good change because now every player will feel better being more useful. However, it is also a double-edged sword, because now for top guilds stage 1 to 5 can be one shot and stage 2 only requires 2 attempts. And in previous battles when someone didn't have a good setup for ranking, they were often designated as cleanup to clean up a stage if there was a screw up. But now the situation is very different. Now every player attempt is a stage clear, so every mistake will come with a very steep price, and so this ranking will be very different, as it might depend on how many screw-ups each guild has gone on every day, and this is something vastly different compared to what we had in all those previous 7 rankings, and I have to say it will be a very interesting but also scary guild battle. So, additional equipment or armory level, as always it depends on your account progression and how overboosted your weapons are. And this time it's Mat and Tifa weapons, and guild battles are very rewarding for long-time players because since launch we have had so many free daily pulls, ticket pulls, banner pulls, so over time our accounts are growing, and guild battle is the only time when I really appreciate getting all those launch weapons that I never use otherwise, because now they contribute to something. But it also depends on every account, and for me, the day we get Kate Sith featured, or a few other characters featured in Armory, I'll be crying because I never get their weapons. But I could probably get my armor level to 71, but it will require upgrading many of those weapons to level 110, and I am almost out of grindstones as it is, so I'm definitely not doing that. And then we also have gear, and all banner outfits have always 100 points and featured outfits have 400 points. So this section always rewards you for pulling on banners more often, as 300 points per outfits gives you a big advantage. Now the teams, and since it's Magic Wind options are quite limited because we didn't have many Magic Wind banners, it's pretty much just Aerith, Yuffie, Naki and Cloud that have either big PP or support wind DPS weapons, and Yuffie and Cloud are 2 newest additions. But if you use Tifa, I think she's also a very nice alternative if you put on her Exploit Weakness weapon together with all Arcanum outfits. Then Magic Wind materia will still hit pretty hard thanks to all those buffs. But Aerith and Naki are two old banners that we got over a year ago, so even if you haven't pulled on Cloud or Yuffie, I think they still should work quite nicely together, especially if you have Aerith's Wind Arcanum outfit. So we have 4 ideal characters, with Tifa being an alternative, and depending on what you have on your account, you could build around. Also, this newest Cloud and Naki banner is perfect for this ranking, especially Naki with his wind buffing color, so you could have Naki debuffing wind resistance with one color and then buffing wind damage and magic attack and heal if needed. But if you're not pulling on this banner, then Naki also has Canyon color that does some wind damage and debuffs magic defense, and with silver color it works very well. But Aerith also has 3 weapons that I think are ideal. Crimson Staff buffs magic attack for allies and debuffs magic defense, and it also has magic attack for allies or ability. Then she has Prism Roads for wind DPS, but Aerith also has Flora 1 that debuffs wind resistance. Crimson Staff is obviously perfect for either builds, but you could use Aerith either as DPS or support, and both will work very well. But Cloud is obviously the best magic wind DPS, and if you have his Wind Arcanum outfits, then even Obi-Wan weapon will still hit very hard, because Obi-Wan hits for 620% damage stock, and you could get even more with a C ability brand. But as I mentioned, Tifa isn't a bad alternative. But this is my team, and I have Naki, Aerith and Cloud, and I got extremely lucky with Cloud's weapon, because I have maxed it out very quickly just from wishlisting on those few banners and then ticket pulls, and it's OB10 already. But ideally I would love to have Nanaki's new color to buff wind damage, and then Canyon color would be a perfect sub-weapon for Aerith, but I'm not going to pull on that banner just to get a copy, so this setup is what it is. And with this team I can solo everything up to stage 4 and then do around 80-90% on stage 5, so I guess I'll be stage 4 hitter. I have Naki with Canyon outfit and just any summon, as he doesn't have any hard hitting limit breaks, Canyon color for wind DPS and silver color to debuff wind resistance. Ultimate color can be useful here for some free heal, and then magic attack statistics, and in sub-equipment slots Nike has 2 weapons with magic attack for allies and Daffodil for attack for allies. Then I have Aerith with Bahamut outfits because I don't have her Wind Arcanum outfits, and similar to Naki, she has any summon for some extra damage, Crimson Staff in main weapon slot to buff magic attack for allies with those buffs and debuffs, Prism Rod for wind DPS, Princess Guard, and all materia are just M-attack statistics. And then in sub-equipment slots Aerith has my best magic attack weapons, with Citric Bond having some extra buff debuff extension. I have Cloud with Wind Arcanum outfit and Cross Slash, Holiday Blade for wind DPS, Apocalypse for our abilities, Ultimate Buster is very nice for that 1 free attack debuff on boss, 3 my best M-attack statistics, and then in sub-equipment slots Cloud has Protector's Blade with magic attack for allies, Electro Cannon and Flora ones for some more wind potency, and this is the highest I can push Cloud, but actual big players have 16,000-17,000 magic attack on the whole team, and this to me is insane, but you need more all allies weapons with attack or magic attack, and I just don't have any more of those. Alright, this is stage 5, but it doesn't really matter as all stages are very similar, but you want to start every battle with applying buffs and debuffs first, and just use one action, but you want to wait till you reach max stance to fully start DPSing. And also I recommend trying to time your hits so that you hit just after Dragon's attack, so that you can keep depleting his wind gauge, because you can't afford. Oh, also Dreadful Chomp, pay attention to that. if it hits your main DPS, you want to have enough AEB with Everest or your buffer to reapply the buff very soon. Also, this debuff, this attack debuff, it lasts only for a few seconds, so you don't have to nullify it. Just wait a few seconds for it to expire and reapply it. But also the whole time try to pay attention to your buffs and debuffs. So right here I have to reapply this. Oh, also when you see that activated and rogue dive, I recommend use Cloud's Buster ability, and since it's stage 5 you definitely want to switch to defense, but on lower stages 1 to 4 you don't have to. But I'm going to use Naki's ultimate ability because that's a very nice heal. And we're back to DPSing here. Also, I'm not worried about Cloud's HP. This region is very nice, but just in case, there's also Jubilation. And it's perfect. Dreadful jump again. Luckily it's Nanaki, but if you're unlucky and your main DPS gets targeted, then of course you'll lose a few percent of your score, because you're either not buffed or you have to wait a few seconds to reapply the buff. Alright, and we're almost done with the battle. I can one-shot it, but I'm getting pretty close to it. No, I can't do any more attacks. Let's just do this. Those summons, they don't really do much damage, but also no limit break does, because we don't have any wind summon that would actually do a lot of damage here. And if you use Yuffie, sure you could, it's a little bit sweaty, but it is possible to get Mega Flare off, but without Yuffie and her banner ultimate weapon it is not possible. So just normal limit breaks and random summons it is. But yeah, I hope you found my guild battle overview helpful, some of those tips and suggestions. But yeah, just pay attention to the battle, try to keep up with all your buffs and debuffs, and don't let any of your characters die. But yeah, good luck, and in the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next one.